Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a fresh new start of a new playthrough as a new nation and in a new mod. The game is of course Victoria 2 and the mod this time is called Divergences of Darkness. If you don't know what Divergences of Darkness is, it's a mod that uses the premise of the existing so-called points of divergences throughout history, and it changes a few of them and gives us this world as a result. Actually, it changes a number of them. For example, one of these points of divergences that have changed is that the Duke of Burgundy didn't die, I think it was Charles the Bold, didn't die in battle, and his lands was not inherited or taken by France and Spain and Austria and that kind of stuff. Scandinavia was remained throughout the Kalmar Union, and they kind of formed this, well, Scandinavia as it is right here, a rather strong country that somehow got Scotland. I don't really know how that happened, but it also, for each nation that has changed the most, there is quite a substantial amount of history for the nation. For example, history of Burgundy, you can go through here and read about what happened and how it turned out to be this way. It also describes that the capital was changed at some point from Dijon to, I think it's called Anvers now? Yeah, Anvers over here in Brabant. So I don't really know why that happened, but I assume that Brabant would make more sense to have it in, since the economic powerhouse is the low countries over here. And besides these point of divergences, giving us this old history world to play around with and do all kinds of crazy stuff that you can't really do in Victoria 2 proper, it also gives us more resources to play around with. For example, cigarettes and cigars are things you can produce, and horses are apparently a commodity now that you can buy or sell and need for certain things. I assume cavalry, for example. And that is both a good and a bad thing, or a bad thing, depending on your point of view. I know that the AI doesn't really deal well with these new resources being added, so it could be a negative overall for the mod. I won't really take a stance on that right now. It also gives us, it tweaks the military for quite a bit. For example, you have mobile artillery and also regular artillery. I have a really hard time saying that word for some reason, so I will try just call it mobile or static. I don't know. Just artillery. It shouldn't be that hard to say. Either way, it also gives regulars for some reason siege, so you don't really need engineers. In standard mode or standard vanilla Victoria 2, you need to have engineers in order to get siege efficiency, in order to siege down provinces with fort more easily. Here, for example, they give it to everything. Mobile artillery has as much siege as engineers, so you never really need to make an engineer, ever. Regulars even have siege efficiency, so you will always have siege efficiency, whatever you do. So that's a bit strange, but let's just roll with it. So that's essentially it for the mod itself. And for this playthrough, I will be playing as Burgundy. The decision landed on that. I was going for, it was between Aragon and Burgundy, and it was quite a long period of deliberation there, but eventually it landed on Burgundy, especially since Burgundy has a fairly interesting position here in Western Europe, being in between Germany and France, and this behemoth, this is like an abomination. France and England together in the same country, and also Ireland coming with England. It kind of comes along the side that you get Ireland if you take England. Comes for free, 2 for 1. And Aragon is mostly what it's expected to be. It starts with almost the same territory as it has in, for example, 1444 in EU4, except that it's inherited Naples already. There's some interesting decisions you can do with Aragon. For example, you can form Aragon Italy, which I was tempted to go for. Basically, you take these territories and then you can form a country that is like a combined state. That seems very interesting, so maybe I will go for that another playthrough. And this also allows me to redeem myself from the failure that was the Netherlands campaign, so hopefully this won't have to suffer through the same fate. Alright, so that's Burgundy itself and the reason for picking it. Let's take a look at what Burgundy has and with the situation right now. So Burgundy is situated in between two local powers. One of them being Bohemia, and if we go into sphere of influence, we will see that Bohemia has quite a substantial sphere of influence here in the HRE. We have the other side, we have the western side with, for example, Hesse-Nassau and Baden-Württemberg and things like that on our side. So we are struggling with Bohemia in order to remain in some kind of control over the Western Holy Roman Empire that doesn't really exist in this game, modeled as in it has no actual meaning. But if Bohemia manages to grab all of it, I'm assuming they can form some kind of nation, maybe Germany or the German Empire. even though it would be funny for Bohemia to do that. And the Dual Monarchy, of course, we have on our western front. And the Dual Monarchy is, as I mentioned before, it's a behemoth. It starts as easily the strongest nation on earth with a really strong industry, really strong prestige, and really solid military, and with a big capacity for many more soldiers to be part of it. It is, I mean, it's an interesting concept. I would wonder what would happen if England had won the 100 Years' War and taken over, and that's kind of what this mod is posing, that question. Because they assume, at least, that the French-dominated elite of England at the time would move their capital to... Wait, I'm not finding what I need to find. This nationality, there we go. Would move the capital to Paris, and some kind of, I don't know, French-English hybrid, Norman hybrid would take form here. And here it's called Anglois. It's mostly here in Normandy, as well as Paris, and the south here along with London. And the northern part of England is still English, and the southern part, or the middle part here of France, is French, while the southern part is Provençal or Occitanian. And we have Irish still existing, and Welsh. So it's a multi-ethnic state, to say the least. They have Breton as well in Brittany. We are a bit more unified. We have the Dutch over here in the north, and we have the Burgundians in the rest. So the Wallonians have given way and become the Burgundians together with, well, the real Burgundians, I guess. So that's the situation when it comes to the nationality. We have some colonies around the place. We have, for example, this place right here, which gives us the perfect opportunity or pretext to take Malacca and Fonburi. So we could probably do that at some point. We start with the Western Java, along pretty much only Batavia. And we can easily take, well, the eastern part first, since we have to go for, I'm pretty sure we need to go for 2 wars here. We can take these 2 states first, and then we can go and take the rest in a single war. Then we can go on for Barley and Atje and stuff like that. We start with a part of India here, Masulipatam. Yeah, I'm really rocking these Indian names, definitely. There's Masulipatam, we start with that, so we could probably go and do, holy shit, there's a lot of people here. 437,000 men. We can probably expand our influence here. Maybe absorb Hyderabad that starts in our sphere of influence. Maybe go for Nagpur, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in India as well. We're not the only ones with things in India though. The Spanish have Goa, and Spain also absorbed Portugal at some point. They have Goa here, and they have parts of Pegu, including Rangoon, which I love that name. Rangoon is pretty cool, as well as the Andaman Islands. And I think the Spanish will probably be the main competitors when it comes to Southeast India, along with maybe Scandinavia and the Dual Monarchy, because everyone starts with a bit of scattered colonies over here and can make, well, it's basically up for the one who can make most use of it that will win. We also start with, we have 1 colony over here, Martinique, and then the Scandinavians have taken here, and I gotta give the mod credit for one thing, for example. They have renamed a number of things, depending on who has taken it. For example, Scandinavia has taken over these islands. I don't remember what names they have in real life, if I'm going to be completely honest. But here they are renamed to, for example, Larshavn and Gundershavn. Then we have St. Margaret over here, that is part of the Dual Monarchy. I'm pretty sure there's something you're not supposed to see. Oh, Kurland. We have New Kurland over here, and we have Tobago, which is... Oh, we also start with these islands, as well as Jamaica, that is now called Eendrachtsland. I don't know why. I don't know why it's called Eendrachtsland. It's a pretty cool name, though, so I will run with it. But I'm mostly surprised to see Kurland. I know that they had some colonization attempts, real Kurland, and they failed, unfortunately. But in here, I guess one of the points of divergences is that they didn't fail, and they managed to take it. I think they also have, yeah, they have over here in Gambia, a part of it. The part that is probably modern-day the Gambia, I presume. But they start with a colony over here as well, so that's pretty cool. Maybe you should play as Kurland and try to make a colonial empire. Could be pretty fun, at least you have the opportunities for it. First order of business will be to turn these into, well, protectorates or colonial provinces. There's really no point in not doing it. At least not as far as I'm concerned. And that is that done. We will then head over to research and try to pick one. We start with cooperative industrialism, which gives us bonus to commerce tech and industry tech. In this mod, we also start with all of the commerce and industry tech as a result, I assume at least. And that's pretty nice. We have clean coal, mechanical production. Yeah, it's a pretty nice thing to start with. We also start with army professionalism here, so we have an edge. I'm tempted to go for muzzle-loaded rifles, but at the same time there's really little point to it. We don't need the engineers, and I mean, plus 3 attack is nice, or 0.3 attack is nice for the infantry and the regulars. But at the same time, the only ones we will fight are the Javans, and I don't think that is priority right now. Going for positivism for increasing our literacy could also be useful. And this mod does a few things. I think they've taken it from another mod, or it's based off another mod maybe. But things like diplomatic influence is spread around the place, and colonial power points are also spread around. And as you can see here with positivism, you don't instantly get all of the education efficiency. You get a lot of it in for example, these inventions. The same thing with idealism. The only thing you get here immediately is the 2 permanent prestige, and the rest is locked behind various inventions. So it's an interesting way of doing it. I'm excited to play around with it and see what it is. And with the lack of anything else to do other than army, which we already start with a bit of an advantage in, I think we will go for positivism. There's really no point in not doing it. And now order of business. The next order of business will be to do the budget. And we just will simply increase everything, all the sliders up to max, and not touching tariffs. I've tried a bit with Burgundy before doing this. Actually managed to record 2 episodes yesterday, and then the file crashed, so I had to redo it. I have to redo it. This is the second attempt now at recording this, so hopefully this will stick. So I'm pretty sure we don't need to increase the tariffs or anything else like that. We start with a liberal party in power, so our ability to tax our people will be limited. Though the most of the population, as you can see, are conservative, so I don't think that party will stay around for very long. But at least the next 4 years will be liberal. And I have no problems with the liberals being in power. Basically, the liberals is like putting your army on AI control, or your economy on AI control. If you want to micromanage everything and do it like Hearts of Iron 3, controlling all the armies, then you can just go communist. And something that I don't really enjoy too much, micromanaging all of the industries. We have 2 easy decisions here: Whistle Stop Tour and the Rights of Man, both of them just giving a bit of prestige. And the Rights of Man will eventually come, for example, the new ideology, and increase further and further on. Oh yeah, I forgot one thing that is rather important in this mod, and that is that in the beginning of the game, and for maybe a few decades, maybe even longer than that, you will lose infamy at a very rapid pace. This is due to a modifier called lack of international code, because in this mod, once again with the whole points of divergences, the 30-year war didn't really happen in the way it did, and the world order, or the kind of diplomatic way of things, didn't get established in the same sense. So there's no real world order or balance of power between the various nations that existed, for example, after the fall of Napoleon. So there's no one really caring if you take over other territories, or if you're conquering things across the sea. No one really gives a shit. At the moment, anyway. At a future point, this will disappear. This lack of international code will disappear, and there's nothing we can do about that. So we should make use of it as much as we possibly can. In Burgundy, since we don't start with the maximum amount of administration, we only start with 40.7%, we will increase our bureaucrats until we reach the 100%, and we will start with doing that not in Holland. Apparently they have a bit of a max over there. So we will do it in Brabant instead, and they barely have anyone at all. So in Brabant will be good. We will increase them over there. And now we move swiftly on to our last point of business, I believe, unless I missed something, which is to reorganize our small little armies. As I mentioned before, we have mobile artillery and regular artillery. Mobile artillery is twice as fast as the regular one. So we probably need to go with mobile in order to get to any armies at all and manage to defeat our enemies. So for now anyway, we will skip the regular ones and go for the mobile. There is, of course, strategies such as having a very, very strong army, maybe just having guards and regular artillery, and then having a small army that's very fast to catch up to it, and then throw in the other one as a reinforcement and beat them down to the ground. But if you're featuring regular artillery in your army, expect it to be incredibly slow, and you can get, well, you can be out-sieged and outmaneuvered pretty quickly if you rely solely on that. So for now anyway, we'll remove this artillery piece and delete it. Same thing will happen with pretty much this entire army. Yeah, I don't like this. But we will start by just removing the artillery and see what happens. Removing this one and removing this one as well. And that's pretty much all of it. Is there anything else that we need to remove? Well, we need to move away 2 of these, for example, and remove those. And that allows these 2 to still exist and be in great shape, so we'll remove these ones. There's a bit of a waste, admittedly, but we will suffice. And these 6 units, or 6,000 men, can join up with these 6,000 men and form the basis of a new army. So we'll start with 4 armies in the mainland. And these 4 armies will focus on having some mobile artillery, as I mentioned before. So we will add about 8 of these and 2 light cavalry to start with. For our armies. So that will be pretty good. Now we will start the time very, very slowly while we focus on other things. I mentioned Java before, and we did not get the Workshop of the World. Maybe we can get that sooner or later. We will start by immediately fabricating a claim on Java to take their eastern parts, and then we will move on with Barley. And since we start with 15 ships over here and 5 of them Clipper transports, we will move these 12,000 men over to Java to help in the conquest of it. I expect Java to be a pushover, mostly because I've invaded them twice before by now, so this shouldn't be too big a deal. I think they will probably give up as soon as we have attacked them over here in, what's it called, Cirebon, and defeated their army. I think they are ready to capitulate there already. So yeah, I'm not expecting much resistance at all from them. And meanwhile, while we wait for the army to transport and everything like that, we can just see what happens in the world. For example, the Ottoman Empire is having some massive issues with Ottoman reactionaries all over the place, and they start with a lot of wars as well. I don't know if they managed to complete most of them, but they start with, for example, the Egyptian revolts or uprising. Start with a war there. They start also with the revolt of the Albanian base, and they now have an Illyrian War of Serb liberation, which is an interesting war. And if they are unlucky, maybe the Safavid Empire will attack as well. Safavid Empire that has most of the Caucasus under their command. An interesting thing is that Ethiopia starts in a three-way war with Funj Sultanate. Right, maybe they have... No, it's not Funj Sultanate. Forget the Funj. It's the... Come on. Public listed companies. Good, that's good for a trade. It's the Adal Sultanate, the Amatsa, and Ethiopia, starting a three-way civil war between each other. So it could be an interesting thing to try out as well. Could really be an interesting move. I got an alliance request from Hyderabad before, but as I mentioned before, I have played this 2 times now, at least the beginning of Burgundy, and I've learned from my mistakes. Last time I accepted their alliance proposal, what happened was that they immediately declared war on Vijayanagar over here, which I hope at least I got right. It's a bunch of letters. Vijayanagar. And immediately got smashed because Spain is... Vijayanagar is under the sphere of Spain, right? So they call in Spain, of course, immediately since they are in defensive war. And then Hyderabad is of course trying to call me in. And the thing is, Spain, in turn, is allied to the Dual Monarchy. So if I were ever to join in such a war, I would have to fight the Dual Monarchy at the beginning of the game. That is not really an acceptable situation. Not really at all. Holy shit, model colony already? 10 prestige, a lot of research points, and wonderful things. I'm quite happy about that. Let's just send all of these small little folks to Anver so I can organize them there instead. That sounds much better. I forgot to set the rally point before, so we'll have to do it now instead. Actually, this light cavalry can already move there, and they're mobile, and the other mobile. And this one. That should be it. Maybe. Maybe I need one more. Let's see. I do need one more. I will take you. Thank you very much. Move over there. And these guys can move over here. And hopefully we can get some more soldiers as well. I should focus on seeing... bureaucrats. I figured as much. I have to keep an eye on those bastards so they will keep producing bureaucrats. And in the regular game... Actually, I think I switched out the wrong one. I have a feeling I did. There we go. We're gone. Wonderful. And in the beginning, like in the regular Victoria 2, if the vanilla Victoria 2, if you will, bureaucrats are good. They're good in the start anyway. So if you're playing most nations, you should probably just go for bureaucrats either way. They are always good to have. But one thing that is almost more important in the vanilla is the clergyman. But in this mod, the bureaucrats have an additional purpose now, because the bureaucrats will give you research points. So there's 4 things instead of 2 that will give research points statically. It's the bureaucrats, now the capitalist, the clergyman and the clerks. In the regular game, it's only the clergyman and the clerks that give research points. But now the bureaucrats have an additional value, so you really want to hit that 1% at least, because that's when they give the maximum amount of research points. So that is what we will aim to do. First, reach the bureaucrat's maximum points, since we have such good literacy anyway. And after we reach that, we will go for the clergyman. And for some reason, the capitalists give up to 4% of capitalists gives research points, which is ludicrous. So maybe we should go for that as well. But that will be a future. Now we can declare war on the Javans already. Demand concession. It doesn't matter, we will take both. Either way. We have John Farrow, which is pretty terrible. But I don't think we will need much more. The Javans start with they start with no army tech, and I expect them to lose rather quickly. We can send out our fleet to challenge their fleet. Fleet of the Sultan. Berg, who is one of our... Are we starting to lose now? No, we won eventually. Baden. So now our sphere is starting to get enough relations with us. Passively, in order to, well, offer alliances or want to be allied to us. We need to have at least over 100 in relations before we can offer an alliance and they will accept. Which is pretty steep. Pretty steep requirement. How many do we have of each now? We have, let's see, a workforce. Craftsmen, clergymen, aristocrats. We have a lot of aristocrats. We don't want the aristocrats to be mad. We have fewer bureaucrats, so we will go for the bureaucrats. Java is willing to go for a surrender. We will demand concession of Madura as well. And now we became the workshop of the world already. That's beautiful, wonderful. Excellent even. And I think they will be surrendering rather soon. Let's see. 16th of September. Well, they won't accept yet, but when we've conquered their capital, I'm sure they will surrender. Just wait for it. They will arrive over here. Soon, soon, soon. And, maybe? No? Well, they would accept the offer anyway, so let's go for it. So that was a quick war, and what I should have done already at this point is justify a war for established protectorate over the Barley over here, which is a primitive nation. Oh, a lot of alliances apparently. We can already place our fleet over here in preparation. And now these parts of the eastern Java will allow us to make some more men, or recruit some more men. This is 27,000 men in total. We will call for 1 more infantry and then 2 of these light cavalry. Should do us fairly nicely, and then we can split up this army into 2. Each of 5,000 infantry and 5 brigades of infantry, and then 1 light cavalry each, which should make for a fairly sufficient force in order to take Barley and the islands of Barley. For some reason, one of these islands are called... Oh, now we got the Dutch East India Company. For some reason, one of these are called Lorvok, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's the Scandinavians that are supposed to take over it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you why that name popped up there. But I assume it's as good a name as any. We got precious metal in Mosul Bay. What is Mosul Bay anyway? Where is it? Mosul Bay. Ah. Oh yeah, we start with Cape Colony. I forgot to mention that. We start with the Cape Colony, which is filled with Boer and Burgundians. And then there's also the Boer countries of Transkap and Leuven. And I guess Vreeland. No, those are Bastard. I don't know what the Bastard are. Maybe they are a different kind. I don't know. Really, I never heard of Bastard even, or before. It's strange. There's a lot of countries over here that we could feasibly take. For example, the Xhosa. We could declare war on them and expand our holdings here. It's more of a matter of priority, because it takes a while to demand concessions and stuff like that, but this seems like a fairly nice piece of Africa to take, in my opinion anyway. Ah, the war is going against Ethiopia, it seems like. Ethiopia is starting to lose. And yeah, and the Adal Sultanates have still at war. Oh, they're going for Djibouti and Amatsa. It's interesting things that are occurring over there. Even more interesting would be if we could get all of our own men over here. Now we can recruit more, and I think having some more regulars. Since we don't need any engineer, I think we will go with the standard 10 brigade setup, 5 infantry, 4 infantry and 1 light cavalry. In vanilla that would be 4 infantry, 1 engineer, 1 hussar and 4 artillery, but since we don't need to have any engineer, we think we can just go with 5 regulars. So that would mean we need 3 more regulars in order to get to those armies up and running. So 3 regulars, and then we will need to have 8 more of these. 3, 6, 1 less, there we go. And then 2 cavalry. So we almost maxed out our capabilities in Europe itself, but that should be fine. How long until Barley is done? It's about 75 days. Our infamy is lowering the speed quite a bit, but maybe if we ourselves increase the speed, it will go faster. Who knew? It's kind of a miracle. War justification efficiency plus 25%. Let's see, our supply consumption is 50%. That's a pretty good organization regain rate. Combat with a 30, to be expected. Switzerland wants an alliance. Switzerland looks a bit strange. I mean, it looks like someone has stolen something from them, but I can't really tell what. Apart from Geneva. Maybe if they had Geneva, it would look better. Maybe they have something extra. I mean, have they gotten Bregenz? Did you start with Bregenz usually? Yeah, that seems a bit Swiss. For some reason, even if they had Geneva, it looks like it's missing something. I can't point my finger to what, but it just seems strange. It seems a bit strange. Alright, we are now ready to declare war on Barley. And what's even better is that we have locked their army in place. So their army can't do anything about the current situation. The only thing they can do is sit and watch while we murder them. And we keep getting these tensions in Bremen, and it all has to do with Bohemia. So we are taking a lot of infamy for that single reason. Which is unnecessary. I mean, we're not lacking in means to reduce the infamy, but it's such unnecessary. The only option is to take a prestige hit, and losing prestige at this point doesn't really seem worth it at all. There we go, their army is beaten. Now we just need to occupy almost their entire land before they will give in to our demands. Which is a bit unfortunate. And now I forgot again about these damn bureaucrats. I said I wouldn't forget about them, but yeah, I did anyway. For some reason there's almost no bureaucrats in Flanders at all. At least not until we started. So now there will be many of them. Occupation progress is going well. Barley is taken. Sumbawa is next. And now soon Lombok will be done. So Zumba, isn't Zumba some kind of dance program? I think when sometimes, I don't know if that's happened to you, at least it's happened to me. When you're really bored, you don't have anything to do and you just leave the TV on at certain hours, or maybe you're homesick and you're just watching some TV channel, and they start with this whole TV commercials thing of, what's it called? When they show off certain products and everyone is claiming how wonderful it is, and then they have pictures of how it was before they had that, and everything is grey and everything is horrible. But then they got this magical product and suddenly everything is happy and they're all so motivated to live life to the fullest. But anyway, I think they had something like that called Zumba. Or maybe I'm confusing with something else. It's gotta exist. I mean, at least one of you must have encountered something like that. God damn it, Zumba, no. Maybe this has a different name, I don't know. Anyway, we have a lot of men ready to put on the move. These should go over here. And then we should make a special delivery of most of these forces to this other little fella down here in Kaiserslautern. While these will be divided up and moved to the other respective customers. It's beautiful. We have 30,000 men ready here, 30,000 men ready here, 30,000 here, and 30,000 men ready here. It is so beautiful I could almost cry. Only almost though. Now we can go with muzzle-loaded rifles. Or maybe we should go for battleship column doctrine. I think we'll do, so we can increase our military bases or naval bases across the world. It will help with various activities. And now Barley is done. And with Barley being part of the Burgundian Empire, I think that's where we will leave off for the first episode. I hope you've enjoyed at least this first episode of Divergences of Darkness playing as Burgundy, and that you will stick around for the next one that should be coming up in a few days, or maybe even in one day. I don't know how many I will churn out in the same time. If you're interested in playing this mod yourself, there will be a link in the description below, so you can download it and play it. Maybe play along, maybe just do your own thing. Either way, I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.